Hello everyone. Today we will cover Chapter 4, Basic Solid Modeling, Extrude, and Evolve. In this lesson, we will cover a new features for Extrude, and we will also introduce the Revolve feature. As well, we will use these components later for an assembly for the chapter that demonstrate the assembly. So let's start. So please go to Sketch and select the Sketch option and select the front plane. So in Chapter 4, page number 2, you see the component which resemble one of the link components. So there is many ways to do this component, but luckily the SolidWorks have a new feature which is the slot. So put your cursors in the slot and select the straight slot. When you put your cursor inside your main drawing pattern, so you'll notice there will be a dashed line. This dashed line represents the center line for your sketch. So make sure it's very close to your final dimension. Then when you click the left click again, so it will stop. Then you can start having your sketch. So this feature or this sketch is defined by two measurements. The first one is the distance between the center of the two arcs. So make sure it's in 1.25 inches. And the second one is defined by the diameter of your arc. So select the arc and make sure it's in 0.5. So this is the radius for this arc. Now we want to add two circles for your sketch and make sure these circles have the same center for your arcs. So start with the first circle and then add the second one. So these circles share the same dimension, so we need to add the relation. So select relation and highlight both circles and make them equal. Now we can add the dimension to one of these circles. So you can highlight one of these circles and its dimension is 0.235. Now we can go to the features and extrude our sketch. So select extruded boss base. So this time we will use a new option. Go to the mid plane. So the mid plane will extrude your part in both sides with the dimension you will decide it. So in this example will be 0.75. So the total extrusion will be 1.5, but this will be easier for later because you want to use the front plane for other options. So now we have our component resemble the final sketch. So we can add a sketch again. So select the plane we want to sketch on it. So add two new circles. Make sure they are on the sharing the same center of your previous circle and the arc. The SolidWorks will give you a hint it's sharing the same center. So we have added the first circle and then we need to add the second one. So add a relation. So we want them both equal. So we can add their dimension right now. So highlight one of these circles and make sure the diameter is 0.5. So now we will add a new feature, which is the cut, extruded cut. So select the extrude cut and highlight the new circles. And make sure it's in a blind. And we want to go through by 0.15. So it will cut it like you are using a milling machine or turning machine to go through this part in 1.15 inches. And you can see there is a new holes. So now we want to do the same thing for the other side. You can do it similarly, but there is an easier way to do it. So go back to the features and now select mirror. So mirror might be not in the same, you can see it in my screen command manager. It might be in different location, but make sure you have selected from the feature because you have other mirror can be found in the sketch. So then we want to select the front plane, which you cannot see it right now. And we want to extrude the same features from here. So first of all, highlight the extrude cut. Go back to mirror. So then put the your design tree. So it will highlight what you are trying to select. So select the front plane over here and click on yes. So right now you can see it have done the same thing for the other face of your part. Now we want to add a new slots in your design. So please select the top view. So if I'm not satisfied with this view and I want to make it angular, you can easily click on the Alt and change it using any arrow. So it will tilt a 15-degree. Now we want to select a new option. So which is called the dynamic mirror. So go to sketch. So in the sketch over here, you will notice that we have a mirror. So like, for example, if you select a line and sketch it over here, so you can mirror this entity. But the dynamic mirror is more, you can say like, so we want to add the new features in your design. So please make your part on the top view. So we will use a new option which you cannot found on the sketch. It's very similar to the mirror entities, but this options, as you are drawing, it will continue mirroring your entities. So first, we want to define the center line in both axes for your top view. So pick the center line from the same option you drawing the line. So you'll notice there is a dashed line, the second one. So you add it. Of course, we want to sketch on the top view. So it will hint to you that it's in the center. So you can start from here and make sure it will be ended in the center of your end part in the x-axis. Now we can add the other one in the y-axis. So pick the center line and make sure it's centered when the SolidWorks give you the hint for that. And both these axes should be perpendicular, but you don't need to add this relationship. Now go to tools and then go to sketch tools, and also you will find the dynamic mirror. So select it. Okay, so there is another way to select it. So you go to search command here and just try to start writing down your command. So if I, for example, put mirror, it will give me all the options I can use the mirror, so that we can use the select mirror. So we want the mirror is around the horizontal center line. So you can select the center line, go to tools, then select the sketch tools, and then go to the dynamic mirror. So we can add this rectangular. So we starting adding these rectangulars. You will notice that it's mirrored around the vertical line. Okay, now we want to define the dimensions. So go to the smart dimensions, and select both these entities and make sure it's in 0.23 inches. Now we want to add the dimension for the triangle. So for the length of the triangle, so we can select both of these 2 points and make it at 0.3. So we want to make sure these 3 lines are coincident. So we need to add a relationship. So select add a relation, select these 3 lines, and make sure they are coincident. And now you have the sketch totally defined because it's now in a black. So now we will go back to feature to extrude cut these components. So go back to ISO view, then go to the feature, select extrude cut, Select both of these plans, and we want to cut it through your part. So select through all. So you don't need to define any dimension. So you can notice now it have cut all your part. Now we want to add a finished surfaces for your part. So we want to select all your part except for the circles. So it's like sometimes you'll find it's hard. So make sure you are selecting only the edges, not the surface, because the results will be different. So you can do it one time or you can do it once each time. So right now select all your part except the edges and add the fillet. Make sure the dimension is the correct one. So it will be 0.032 and make it for full preview and click on yes. After that, we will add the chamfer for the circles. So select these circles. We'll do it for each face at a time. So we want it at 45 degree and we want it at 0.023. Click yes. So we want to go to the other side. And now we can do it for the second face. And we can add the chamfer. So it will give us the same previous dimensions and click on yes. So our part one is finished. We can see it in ISO view. Part for the Chicago bolt. So go to sketch, select the front line. So start with adding a center line. Then start adding the lines to draw your figure very roughly. Then start adding the actual dimensions using the smart dimension. add a 59 degrees angle. Now your sketch have a black color, which means it's fully defined. Go to features, add revolve, select the feature you want to revolve, then select the axis. Luckily for us, it was the default axis, and click OK. Now we want to add the chamfer, so select the base, add the inner circle, select chamfer from the fillet option, and make sure you have the correct dimensions, which is 0.032 inches with a 45 degrees. So your female part for the Chicago bolt is ready. Making the male part for the Chicago bolt. So start with the sketch, add the line, make sure the line is on the center point. This is will make the revolve feature easier. So not make it very accurate in the first shot, but very close to it. Complete your sketch. And now you can notice there is a region, so we can revolve it. But firstly, we need to add the right dimension for it. So this should be 0.11. This should be 0.15. And the height should be 0.25. And the base should be 0.59. Now we can revolve it. So go to features again, select revolve base. So we want to revolve this feature. So we need to adjust the line. So this is not the correct line we want to revolve about it. So we want to revolve it around x-axis and click yes. Now we want to add a chamfer. So go to fillet, select the chamfer, select the base for your object and the top of it. And the same dimension we have selected for the female part of the pole. So 0.3032 and 45 degrees. Sketch the final component, which is pretty similar the first one. So go to sketch, select the front plane. Now select the straight slot. Make sure it's around the center point. And add its dimensions. So the dimensions are pretty similar the first component. So the distance between the center of the arcs will be 1.25 and the radius will be 0.5. Now we want to extrude it. Go to feature, extruded boss base. So we want to be extruded across your front plane. So select mid plane and we want to extrude in both sides. For each side will be extruded 0.75 inches. I click on yes. So now we want to add a new features to the extruded surface. So go back to sketch, select the sketch and select the extruded part. So we want to add two circles. So we want these circles to be in the center of the arc. So hover around the arc and it should give you or hinted to you the center of the circle. So add the first circle, then go to the next arc, hover around it until the center of it will pump up and select it and draw the second arc. Now we want to add a relation to make these two circles have equal diameter. So make them equal. And now we add the smart dimension and we add the diameter for this radius, which is 1.02. Now we want to extrude cut the new features. So go back to feature and select extrude cut. So we want to extrude cut the drawn circles and we want to extrude them in a blind, so it doesn't matter what we have in front of them, and for 0.235 inches. You can see it's a drawn over here. So we want to mirror this extrusion to the other side. So select mirror. So we want to extrude feature 1. And for this one, we can just highlight the design tree. So then we want it around the front plane. So select the front plane and click yes. So you can see it's extruded in both face. So go back to the ISO. So we want to add two new circles. So go back to sketch, select circle. So we want to sketch in the extrude face. So hover around the extrude or the circle until the center will pop up. Of course, we can use another face to make it easier for us. And now we add the next circle. And we want both circles have the same radius. So select them both and make them equal. Now we can go to smart dimension and add their diameter. So the diameter is 0.3, sorry, 25 inches. So now we want to cut them from our draft. So go over here, go to feature, select extruded cut. So select both features. And we want them through all the objects. And now you can see like something like the eyes of the owl. So now we want to add the finishing for our product. So only want to select the top edges and we want to make them in a fillet. So select fillet and select the 8 edges. And now we want to add dimension, which is 0.1. We can select the second face or the bottom again, and we can do it again over here. So again, select these edges. And add fillet with the same dimensions. And finally, we want to add the last feature. So we want to have finishing for our circles. So select the edge for the 4 circles, add chamfer, and we want it to have the same previous dimension, which are 0.032 and 45 degrees. And then we have the final components. So in next lecture, we will add them together. In next lesson, we will start assemble these components. Thank you.